Hey everyone! So I know it's been a little while since I've been on here, but I've just been really busy with my day job, and then I've just been really tired. I think everything of the past couple of months has really caught up with me, and so that coupled with the fact that we had a lot of new releases in February, and so I'm just kind of catching up now. And so I have some new products today to show you. I have the new Sapphire Selene palette from Adept Cosmetics. This is their take on the new blue. Everybody's doing blue palettes this spring. And God, this packaging is really gorgeous. So this is the new Sapphire Selene palette from Adept Cosmetics, one of my favorite indie brands. And then I have a couple of new lip products from VioletteFR. And I pulled one of the new Valentino blushes that are going to be releasing here in the United States soon. One of my favorite colors to try again today. It's called Spike a Pose. So if just kind of looking at some new products and getting ready with me sounds good to you, then I would really appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, follow along, shop my links. It doesn't cost you anything, but it really helps the channel, and share me with others who might like this kind of content. So Adept Cosmetics. I've been collecting Adept Cosmetics now for 4 years or so. And about 2 years ago, I started to notice that their quality really went up. They've always had really beautiful shimmer, multi-chrome, duochrome kind of shadows. They used to be a little bit chunkier. Now they're more refined. But what used to hold them back was their mattes. And about 2 years ago, they changed their matte formula, and it's so much smoother and easier to work with now. And then they've also upgraded their packaging. So their last 4 or 5 palettes have come in this kind of hard plastic component, kind of similar to Natasha Denona, where it has the little pinholes on the back, but really beautiful. They've done black, they've done white, they did a blue. Well, this one with this jade color is really beautiful. And this palette is called Sapphire Selene. All of their palettes kind of have something to do with like sci-fi or retro sci-fi. And so I assume that that is the same with this one. But the Sapphire Selene palette is sort of their take on this trend that everyone's doing. Dior, Chanel, Half Magic did a new glitter puck in blue. Lots of blue this spring, but they've also added in a little purple and like a mint color. So we're going to take a look at this today and do a couple of looks. And like I said, their quality on their mattes has greatly improved. So let me swatch these for you, and I'll swatch them on the back of my hand. And I'm probably, because there's 15 shades, going to have to wipe some of the product off because they won't all fit. And I don't want to make them too small, because the thing about Adept that's so amazing is how much their shadows stretch, especially their metallics, because they are so beautifully made. Some are still a little chunky, but for the most part, even those are much more refined than they used to be. So I'm going to start on the top row, and I'm going to show you Obsidian Ink, Velvet Petal, and Diamond Ripple. So this is Obsidian Ink, which is kind of a blue multicolored shadow. You can see it's got purple in there and silver, an interesting color. Then we have Velvet Petal, which is the transition shade. It's also the lightest shade in this palette. So some people that prefer a matte on their inner corner might want to use this. Then we have Diamond Ripple, which is another kind of purpley blue green shade, really interesting and unique. And that one is a little bit chunkier. The particles are slightly bigger in that one. So then we have Royal Eclipse and Serpo. So this is Royal Eclipse, a really deep, dark purple. And then Serpo, which is, it looks like a mint green metallic with a little bit of a silvery shift. So that's the first row of this palette. And you can see just a lot of really beautiful shifty shades. So let me wipe that off. That purple is really, really intense. So I would definitely recommend putting down a base of like a concealer. And Adept is so much better than they used to be as far as their shadows with fallout. But because of the nature of the shadows, they're going to have a little bit of fallout. So I always recommend doing your concealer later. Now today, the only thing I have on my face is I have my Make Beauty eyebrow gel. And then I do have my Prada foundation, but I haven't done anything else. Okay, so let's go in with line 2. And the first shade we have is Snowbird, which is a silvery with like multicolored sparkles in it. Really interesting. It's got rainbow colored sparkles. The problem with these is sometimes they don't come across on camera, but that one you can see, and especially in person, I can see it has green and red and gold sparkles, but that would also be a beautiful inner eye color if you like the metallic. Then we have Midnight Reef, which is another one of those incredibly intense matte shades, kind of a dark teal. Then we have Aurora Bloom, which is one of those shades that has a variety of different colors in it. That's going to probably look different each time you try it. But a very interesting kind of pinky purpley shade. Then we have Starlit Ash, which I really like. In the palette, I can see it has multicolored sparkles, blue, green, purple, silver. And it has a darker base to it. And finally, the last matte on this row is Minty, which is just a beautiful mint green. I mean, look how smooth that is. So that's the second row. Really beautiful. I'm surprised by that mint green because sometimes those kind of colors can look patchy or inconsistent, but that one's done really, really beautifully. Okay, the final row here. We'll start with Soft Periwinkle, which to me is more purple than periwinkle, but I know some people think of periwinkle as more purple. These are so smooth. Then we have Sapphire Selene, which is one of those shades that's kind of ombre in the pan, so you could get something that's more blue on the top to gold and red on the bottom. Really interesting. And it just kind of depends on how you apply it. Then we have Crystal Comet, which looks like it's one of those kind of chunky metallics. And this one's in a mint green shade with silver sparkles. Then we have UV Bloom, which is a lavender shade with multicolored kind of rainbow sparkles. Really interesting. Also very, very shifty. And finally, we have another one of those dynamic mattes that are in this palette. This one's Kona Blue, so an extremely dark blue. So this is the final row. So this palette has 6 mattes. And then the rest of it are either metallics, duochromes, multichromes, or some of those ones that are, you know, ombre in the pan. So really unique color story. Not going to be something like every day. Well, for a lot of people, it won't be every day. But it'd be beautiful for like festivals, concerts, things like that. And that's really where Adept shines, is they do these really unique color stories. They've had all green palettes. They've had the Minka palette and the Minka Reloaded, which were both so beautiful. So they really... they shine in this kind of palette. So I'm going to start with this Velvet Petal in my crease, and this is a Shoto 03. And we'll do this look over on this side a little lighter and more ethereal. That's one thing about Adept is most of their palettes, let me pull you in a little closer. Most of their palettes, you knew it, most of their palettes do include a nice mix of kind of lighter, shifty shades, and then the darker, deeper, more intense ones. So you can get kind of lighter, more ethereal looks, and you don't have to be as intimidated all the time by what is in the pan. That's a pretty kind of blocking neutral shade. It doesn't have any warmth in it. So this is really a cool tone palette lover. Cool tone lover is going to love this. And I'm going to put this kind of minty green color called Minty on the outer corner because we're going to keep this look really pastel. And you can see that that has a very similar depth. It's just got a minty shade where the other one's got more of an off-white. How do I want to darken that up on the outer corner? I guess we're going to have to go in. Do I want to darken it up? I don't think so. Because I want to keep this one really light. And the other three shades that are in here are much more intense. So that might be an issue with this palette. Is there's two very light shades and then three incredibly intense shades, or four incredibly intense shades. So if you're looking for like a neutral, you might have to pull something out, you know, your favorite, or you could pull out a bronzer or something like that. But that's a really beautiful shade. Okay, so what do we want to do? Well, let's go in with the shade Crystal Comet. And I'm going to grab my VioletteFR 21, although sometimes I find with Adept that the finger really works better. And I think we're going to find it with this one too. It just doesn't have the pickup that a finger does because a finger can warm these shadows up. In fact, so I don't have a lot of fallout, before I put that one on, I'm going to go ahead and put some of my Pat McGrath down. Because you don't want fallout with some of these chunkier ones. And this is one of those chunkier ones. Now this Crystal Comet appears to just be a chunky metallic. It doesn't have a lot of shift to it. But it's a perfect complement to that mint green because it's almost the same color in a metallic form. So that's really interesting. Let's see. Let me clean up that edge just a little bit. I mean, that by itself, just those two, and have a minty green colored eye would be really cool. But of course, we want to look at one of the kind of multi-chrome, you know, shifty shades. So I'm going to grab UV Bloom, which is a purple with green and mint. And I'm going to place that on the bulk of the lid. So this will be a purple and mint kind of color story. That's really pretty. And it's not as intense as it could be, you know, if you use the darker shades. And maybe we'll line with one of those just to show you what they look like. Now I'm going to go in with my product concealer and do the under eye now. Because like I said, I really do think you kind of have to on these because you will run into fallout. It's just inherent. It's nothing against Adept. It's just going to happen with shades this kind of chunky. Particularly that mint green one was chunkier than the other. This product concealer is good. I have been gravitating more towards that Chanel and using it more often. But the Prada one is really good, and it reminds me, and I know they're coming out with blushes and lip glosses, so I'm excited to see where they go in that realm. So on the bottom, do we want to do something a little darker? Maybe. Let's go in with Starlight Ash, which is one of the shades that has a dark base to it. I normally keep the bottoms more matte, but in this case, I normally don't go that low with a metallic, but I kind of just want to try it out and see. And I can blend it out a little bit with the green and the cream. Yeah. Now for the inner corner, I'm going to go in with the shade Snowbird, which is a beautiful gold, white, little bit of pink, just a perfect light colored multi-chrome for the inner corner. Also would be beautiful by itself. I'm going to bring that under a little bit just to brighten it up. So that's an interesting kind of spring look. Let me go ahead and grab a detail brush because I want to show you what these little liners would look like, or what these darker colors would look like as a liner. So I'm going to grab the shade Midnight Reef on a VioletteFR 29. That's a brush I don't use very often, but it's great for stamping liners. And just kind of run it. That's a beautiful, deep, dark, blue-green shade. Perfect for a liner. Little bit of fallout. Nothing big, though. And, of course, you could wet your brush if you were really concerned about that. So I don't know when I'm going to post this, but yeah, just a little bit of fallout there. But the Oscars were last night, and it was the first time in many, many years where I have felt like I liked about 3 dresses, and the rest were like, eh. I really loved Kate Hudson. I thought that was really beautiful. I really loved Jessie Buckley, and I like Zendaya. And that was about it. Everything else, there were some that I liked, Nicole Kidman, Demi Moore, but I had like modifications for every one of them that would, you know, make them like A-level. Those were really the only 3 that I thought were like A-level, tip-top. Okay, I'm going to grab a liner. And it's one I don't use a ton, but it's from Victoria Beckham, and I think it's going to be a perfect match for that shade Midnight Reef. And it's the one called Surfside, which is that beautiful blue teal. I think it's an exact match. Let's see. Yeah. So if you have this palette and you have Surfside, you've got a perfect match for that teal. That's really pretty. That is an insanely good match that they couldn't obviously have planned. I doubt Victoria Beckham knows what Adept Cosmetics is. She should, because they're a beautiful company. Okay, let's get that teal off me. That's the thing, they're so pigmented. Okay, so we'll come back and do lashes in a second, but let's do the other eye. And on this eye, I think we should probably do something a little bit darker and more dramatic. So I think what I'm going to do, let me wipe off my brush. Well, let's start with that Velvet Petal, that light color as a transition again. because it really is that, and the green, the mint green, are kind of the lighter shades that are in here. Everything else is pretty intense. And I'm going to keep that above the crease, because what I'm going to do is in the crease go in with the soft periwinkle color. And I'm going to start that on the outer corner and bring that through the crease. That's a very vibrant pastel purple. And I want this look to be deeper and more intense than the other one. Just to show you, I mean, I could do a 5 looks 1 palette with this, because there's such variety in Adept palettes, which you can't say for everybody. In fact, let's go ahead and take a little bit of the purple and do the inner, and I'll do cat eye. I don't really do those a ton, the halo eyes, but I think it would be nice with this look. I haven't done a halo eye in a while. Okay. I'm going to wipe off any additional product that's on my VioletteFR 3 and just blend out. And if I need to, I can go back in with that off-white color. But I think this will be fine. Now what I'm going to do now is grab a smaller brush, but something detailed. And a Shadow 2 is perfect for this kind of work. And I'm going to grab the shade Royal Eclipse, not a ton of it, and deepen up the corners. I don't know why work has been so crazy lately, and then when I get home I'm just exhausted. Okay, now that I've done that and I'm leaving the bulk of the center open, let me grab my Pat McGrath again, my Intensify wand, or you could use a glitter glue. I just find the Intensify wand so easy to use for this kind of stuff. And it does help with fallout, and it does help intensify what you're putting on the eye. So I'm going to grab this Sapphire Selene shade, and this is the one that kind of ombres, and I'm going to try to keep that across the lid. You can see it's pretty intense. But really beautiful nonetheless. It's that royally blue purple shade. Now in the center, I want something a little bit lighter. So I'm going to go in with Aurora Bloom. Yeah, this is not a demure look. But you can imagine this for like a concert. It'd be really cool. I'm just going to work on blending those two together. I mean, that is a really beautiful, intense look. Now for the inner corner, let's see, what do we want to do? I think I'm going to do Diamond Ripple for the inner corner. So I'm going to grab that on my finger, and it's a light blue pink shade. And actually what I'm going to do is take that and go up a little bit like this. And the reason I'm doing that is just to introduce a little bit of light. I like to do that on these darker looks so they're not quite so intense. And I'll go up a little higher with it. And then I can take any, you know, a brush with little to no product and just blend that out. And if I need to introduce more lightness, well, then I can go back in with that Velvet Petal, that cream color, just to introduce some lightness there. But I think that's really cool. Okay, let's do the concealer. This one did not have the fallout that the other one had. I think it was that mint color. It was just a little bit chunkier. So you just want to be careful with that. But as you saw, it came off really easy. Okay. I'm excited for those new Prada lip glosses and blushes. I'm interested to see what they look like when they come out. That is a really cool look. Okay, so on the bottom, what do we want to do? I think what I'll do is grab a little bit of the soft periwinkle and run that along the line here. I don't think I want to do any metallic down there because it's already a heavy look. But what I will do is I just want to have a little pop of something bright. So I'm going to go in with Serpco, which is this mint. Well, it's not mint. The other one's mint. This one's more of a teal. It's almost like a prom dressy kind of teal color. And I'm just going to put that on that little portion near the tear duct. And blend it into that purple. Just to bring something different in there. Okay, those are two completely different looks. But hopefully you get the idea that you could get 10 completely different looks with these. They're really good like this, but they're also really good as just put a matte down, darken it up a little bit, and do one of them, and just do a one and done. And they're really beautiful because the thing about the multi-chromes and the duochromes is the more lid space you give them, the more of the shift you're going to see. So for a liner for this one, do I have a purple? I do. I can use Victoria since I have it out. I'm going to use Victoria's Fig. It's a burgundy purple color. It's got more wine in it than the Bordeaux shade. And it's cooler, so it goes really well with that first multi-chrome I put down. And you can see it looks really good. Now you could obviously do a lighter shade if you wanted to have a lighter look. Okay, so that looks good. What do we want to do now? Well, you know what? I'll just throw on a coat of black YSL Lash Clash. The new Chanel blue mascara would look good with these too. But sometimes with these bolder looks, I like to just do black so that the shadow is what really stands out. Okay, I think those are really cool looking. Again, not every day, probably, but really beautiful nonetheless. Okay, let's bring you out and let's finish the face and then look at some of these other products. Bring you up. Okay, so let's go ahead and put on a little bit of contour. This is the Westman Atelier. This is in Toast. I tried this over the weekend. For me, this is more of a contour blush. It has a little bit of red in it, that the traditional biscuit that I love so much and that doesn't have. And that one's a little cooler. This one has a little more warmth to it. It's beautiful, but I think for me, as a contour shade, biscuit is still my favorite. However, this one has nice warmth in it, so it does kind of work as a bronzer contour for me. I could see if you had more of a red undertone to your skin that this could be a true contour. For me, it's kind of a mix of both. Okay, so for blush, I grabbed one of my favorite of the new Valentino blushes that I have heard are coming in April to the States. They are currently in Europe. There are 8 of these new ColorCrush blushes, and the one I grabbed today to show you is one of their more neutral ones. It's called Spike a Pose. It's kind of a warmer pink shade, so I wanted to show that to you. I love these Valentino blushes. That's why I'm like, Prada's got a lot of they're gonna have a lot to compete with, because the new Gucci Glow blushes were so beautiful in January, and then these Valentino blushes are really stunning. Not to mention YSL has had a shade expansion as well. But I'm sure the Prada will be fine. The packaging looks a little weird to me. I kind of thought that they would just follow what they've done for their eyeshadows and their setting powder and their highlighters and just use the silver compact. But they're not. They're using like this kind of off light pink stackable. It looks like plastic. I'm not sure. It's cheaper. It's like $45, where the others are more like $90. So maybe it is cheaper. It's surprising to me, because the rest of their aesthetic is so high end, but maybe they wanted to offer these at a slightly lower price. And that's still expensive, but I think there's going to be 8 of those. And I'm grabbing my Cocoa Denim highlighter, or illuminating powder, from Chanel, and I'm just going to put that a little bit over the blush and a high, because the thing that's really nice about this Cocoa Denim illuminating powder is it's not so much a blinding highlighter, but it will tone a blush down a little bit and cool it down, so it does give you some glow. And if you want more, you can obviously take it on your finger and just place it like this, and then blend that out. I saw some people online are using this as an inner corner for eyeshadows, which is a really good idea I hadn't thought about, because it's very light, but it's actually pretty subtle. It looks much more blue in the pan. Okay, so the last thing we have to look at today are not new products, but they're new to me. I just saw them advertised online, and I thought they looked really interesting. They're one of those whipped lip products, but they apparently are good for like fine lines, and they blur. And so these are the VioletteFR Plume Lips. I have 2 shades. I have Rose Fume, and I don't even know how to pronounce this, but it's the Chantagnigrile. It's the neutral. There are 5 of these total. I don't have a ton from this brand. I have their Boom Boom Milk moisturizer, which I really like. It's a moisturizer that you spray on, but it works really well. But let me show you what these 2 look like. So this is the Rose Fume, or Fume. And then this is the, I don't know what we're going to call this, Chantagne Grille. I don't know. It's the neutral one. And you can see it's more of a rosewoody kind of mauve color. So I think today, what do we want to do with this look? I mean, either one of these would work, because this is so crazy looking. Both of these looks. I'm going to go in and line really quickly with my Westman Atelier and Petal. I like the Westman Atelier liners a lot. I like pencil liners a good amount. This is kind of just a perfect match for that neutral one, so maybe that's what I'll do. And these are like that very light whipped formula. Kind of reminds me of ABH did this a few years ago. They have a very fine point. If you want to use it as a liner. But they're supposed to just be really blurring and hydrating. And I noticed again, even last night at the Oscars, that those kind of soft focus lips are really popular right now. Kind of where you do that a bunch to soften up the edges. But I think that's a really pretty color. It's not as bold as the other one, but it's really pretty. So we've done 2 looks. We've done swatches of the new Sapphire Selene palette from Adept Cosmetics. They're entering into the blue-purple sphere. We also looked at the 2 shades of the VioletteFRs. And then we used one of the new Valentino ColorCrush in Spica Pose. I have an entire video with all 8 of these. If you want to see them all in action, they are stunning. And again, I think they're coming in April. The other products that I've showed you today are available. Adept often sells out of their palettes, but they will come back in stock. So you can go on the notify list and then they'll let you know when they come back in stock. But I think we have 2 completely different looks today. And like I said, I could have got 10 more because of the variety of colors in an Adept palette. They're kind of unmatched in that realm, and they really do make beautiful shimmers, metallics, duochromes, multichromes, but their mattes have come so far. So if you like this kind of content, then I really would appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, follow along, shop my links. Really important, and share me with others who might like this. And if you haven't tried Adept before, then give them a chance. I think you'll really love them. Bye, everybody.